Well, it's been a while since we've seen this car. Almost half a year, actually. I've done some light modifications. Some that I love, and some that I regret. But enough has changed that I feel like I should give you an update. From the good to the bad. So let's get into it. So it's been almost 2 years and a little over 23,000 miles. Not much has changed in about the 6 months since the last video. However, if you're looking at the exterior, like, oh, he got around to some of the mods he wanted to do. Well, there's a couple of them that I regret. The first one being these headlights. So you're looking at them, and you're probably thinking, they look pretty nice. However, it's only been about 4 months since I've actually put these on. You come up close, you're like, oh, it looks cool, and got some clear, got some black, and you look a little closer. And there it is. This is peeling already. It hasn't even been that long. And this one, the camera never captures it well, but it is yellowing already. And it's something that both these lights share as a flaw. And in its defense, they were only $68, but does stick out. And I kind of figured that would happen. However, I think another part of it has to do with this bumper, which I will explain this whole incident. So, not long ago, I had to replace this front bumper after a small 2-mile-an-hour impact, super small. The car that this thing ran into, so I was using the hill start assist, and didn't know that the car would just start rolling after a couple seconds. That car only needed its parking sensors re-clipped back in. This thing needed its whole crash bar replaced, and I'm not kidding, I have pictures. So it needed a crash bar and it needed a bumper because it had a split in it. And actually this grill, you can see where it's cracked. And I've just kept this on. But this bumper had to be replaced. This is like around a $350 or $400 bumper, just the cheap paint option. Because I initially was actually going to sell the car, I decided to keep it. So I put this bumper on, and I put everything on the bottom back on, including the splash shields. And fast forward a few months later, so this is probably about a month and a half ago. I'm coming home from school from a graduation event at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So nobody is on the freeway. I'm in the far left lane, just cruising about 80. And then I just hear a loud road change. And what I discovered when I got home, and I'll put up some pictures if I have it. What I discovered when I got home were the 2 splash shields gone, or ripped out from under the car, and I dragged them about 5 or 6 miles home. And they made so much noise, my mom heard me from down the block, about 5 blocks away. That's how loud it was. And I mean, it was quiet at night. I probably woke up the entire neighborhood. That's how loud that was. And here's some of the damage it did. If you look right here, yeah, it ripped this out too. So I got 2 new splash shield and 2 new fender liners for only around $80, and I keep getting these retainers and they keep popping out because the bottom's broken on both sides. So I don't know if I was missing a screw, if I hit something. Possibility I was missing a screw. I don't recall actually missing screws, but I do know that if I hit something, that the thing probably would have been a lot worse. And I would have felt it. I didn't feel anything. I heard something, I didn't feel anything. So I every once in a while pop this back in. It's not great. I bought a whole pack. Wish the tire wasn't in the way. There we go. I bought a whole pack of 20 on Amazon. Just in case. Because these little retainer brackets are the first things to go. Usually. So I'm going to take care of the bottom splash shields. I'm going to have my body guy do it, not me. I'm not taking the wheels off, because I think it looks like you do have to take the wheels off, or maybe not. Yeah, looks like you do. And I'm not in the mood to do that. So I'll let them do it, and do it properly. And hopefully that won't happen again. And they said there were 2 mods I regretted. So here's the second one. No, it's not the touchscreen, although I do slightly regret it for only a couple of reasons. This wood trim. So I installed this wood trim in the dash, and I had it on the doors and on the shifter. Well, after I did that, I was like, okay, let's look for center consoles. None in wood. The hybrid only came with this blue wood material. It looks like wood, but it's blue. And I thought, okay, well, I could just swap, the gate in the Prindle all over. Nope. It is special molded here when you take this apart to fit whatever model you have. So I thought, okay, I'll look for the silver one. Maybe I could do the wood everywhere, and then this silver trim color here, because they did have it. Limited to 5,000 cars. So I'm not going to be able to find it because of the Hybrid SE, that 2014 and a half. That special one has this silver. And not long ago I found this shifter, actually the original one that came with the car, but it was painted silver. So I decided to paint that black. I painted this black, and I'm tempted to paint this black too, and then make it all match. But I'm currently looking for a set from a hybrid in this blue wood trim that comes with the shifter, with the dashboard panels, and the window switch trim. Because when I first got the car, it wasn't even matching. That was silver, that was silver, that was silver, this was blue, and like that over there was a different color. So it wasn't matching then, it's not matching now, even though I try to get it to match. So I'm going to look for that hybrid matching trim and just get this thing back to stock. I said I slightly regret this, and it is for one reason, and one reason only. That's not great when I'm trying to demonstrate it on a video. Main reason is because of the Android Auto system, which is the whole reason I got it. And that is because, now if I turn this on and I go to use the camera, it's going to completely crash my phone. But if I have that on, and I have this Bluetooth on, I cannot use the music on the steering wheel controls. So if I disconnect Bluetooth and then go to Android Auto, it won't connect. So what I have to do is turn on Android Auto, turn off Bluetooth, and then open Android Auto again. Because if I just turn off Bluetooth first and then open Android Auto, it doesn't work. But occasionally, for the last couple of days, I actually did get it to work where it synced these two perfectly. And I haven't had a problem for the last few days. But I'll have to monitor it over time. This radio was only about $240. I'll link it in the description down below. It's on Amazon.com. I got the just regular 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of ROM, because I felt like I didn't need any more because I'm using it for Android Auto. And then for $170, I had this installed. Now the majority of it was labor. Took a couple of hours. And then this camera is about $50. This apparently was the best camera that I could get. The weird thing is that once it was installed, it's not as nice, but I also have a 10-inch display showcasing a camera, so I don't expect it to be perfect. But I do like the install they did. And I'll pop the trunk so we can see it a little bit better. I asked for it to be put in the factory location. What I actually thought was going to happen was that this plate was going to go behind here. They're going to drill a little hole and that would stick out, but I guess they just did a whole adhesive here, which I do understand why, because if I do need to have it removed, that's the only cutout right there for the wire, and you can barely even see it. Now, some of you may ask why I didn't just have it installed with the factory radio. That's because I couldn't find the reverse camera location for it, but I'm pretty sure it's there in my car. I just had to go digging for it, and I didn't feel like digging. And I also wanted Android Auto, so I think it was worth it. Another thing that you might notice throughout the whole video, finally got the car replated. Took a while, but I got around to it. And when I was at the AAA office, I was hoping that I'd get a good sequence, and I actually did. Not bad. I have a feeling we're about to run out of these 9s. I think the California DMV is switching to a new sequence probably next year. That's how fast people keep buying cars in this state. It looks great though, and they did have a plate frame on it that was for the original dealership of the car, but I decided to take that off. And the nice bright white, it looks way better than the one I had before, and the one in the front is a lot nicer. And I even removed the front. I had the big blocky front plate bracket. I took that off and just direct bolted it to the bumper. I felt like it would look better, and it's not all beat up and bent, and I hope it stays that way for a little bit, because my goal is to have the cleanest high mileage Camry possible. And you know, this thing has 138,000 miles on it, but it looks like it only has 38,000 miles, but it does not. It has 138,000. Maybe part of it's because the whole back end of the car was repainted, or just because the car in general was pretty nicely kept. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of this color. After a couple years, I'm starting to realize the drawbacks of having a gray car. Although the weird thing is that my Fiat 500 is gray, and I don't have heat problems, but in this car, when I take it to the desert, it's like it's a hot box in this thing. And I have the light colored interior cloth, which I'm about to change to leather in the coming months, because I found that the leather seat covers have better thigh support because they're thicker, and it's much more comfortable for my legs. After a long road trip, these seats do get uncomfortable. And yes, I did finally get around to, if you don't remember from a year ago when I talked about it, I finally got around to testing different seats in Camrys and found that these seats with the leather covers were the perfect ones for me. But for the exterior here, you know, the paint's not in bad shape, and it looks perfect to wrap, which is what I'm going to save up for, and I hope to do sometime next year if I can, if not the year after. So either 2026 to 2027, or sorry, 2025 or 2026. I just don't know what color to wrap it. I'm pretty set on Barcelona red metallic, but back up a little bit here and then get a full view of the car. I'm pretty set on Barcelona red metallic, either that or Clearwater blue. And Clearwater blue is like this light blue color. I kind of don't want to go dark on a wrap, so as much as I would love to wrap the car in black, it's important because of how hot it gets here in California that I cannot have a dark colored car anymore. So I really don't know what color to wrap it. And so, you know, I don't have a sunroof. So I don't know if I should go Clearwater blue or Barcelona red. I have a feeling 90% of you are going to tell me Barcelona red. And I think it's perfect too. But these are going to go first. So the leather is going to go first. And then I'm going to switch these headlights out back to the factory ones, because I cannot stand the way these stick out. That one's yellowing, this one's peeling. I'm just going to forget about these. They're 70 bucks. They're good when I had to replace them, but I'll get better used ones or even brand new ones if I can afford them. And the last thing I want to talk about is the powertrain. And I've had a couple of issues that I've had to fix. So, I have noticed a couple problems happen, and the big one is the rattle on cold start. And I know the severity of the cam gear rattling, and that it should be replaced quick. So I was doing some diagnosis of myself, talking to different mechanics, and getting an idea of parts prices, and I had an idea maybe of just selling this car. But I didn't lose hope, and I tried a couple different things that the Toyota Nation forum told me to do, and I'll put a link in the description to my thread where I talk about this. And I'll be honest, I am quite disappointed in Toyota that they didn't extend the TSB for the cam gears, but things are better now because of an $8 and 20-cent bottle called Rizlone engine treatment, and I am not kidding, it eliminated the rattle within 5 days and about 200 miles of putting it in. I did not expect the rattle to go away, and I'll put a picture up now of what piston 1 looked like. Cylinder 1 had sludge all over the top of it. Here's what it looks like after Rizlone. That's quite impressive. I'm going to go another 150 to 200 miles until I get an oil change, which I just got an oil change 1 month and 2,200 miles ago. And I put the Rizlone in, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do 3,000 mile oil change from now on. So in about 400 miles or so, maybe is when I'll do the oil change. I'll be at the 3,000 mile mark, and it'll be the perfect time to flush this Rizlone out of the system. And I might just give like the technician a water bottle or something and say, get a little oil sample for me to look at, because I'd be really curious to see what kind of sludge it got out. So I am quite happy that this product worked, and I honestly thought it was just going to be some snake oil and not do anything. But for $8, that was totally worth it. And given that it removes sludge, I wonder if it's going to get rid of the oil consumption problem as well with my seized piston rings. Although I'm not sure. That $8 bottle saved me about $2,000. And who knows, if the oil consumption goes away, maybe it'll save me about $6,500. Because I was not ready to invest in a short block for this thing. Besides that, the hybrid system has been fantastic. Runs great. I recently did the hybrid fan filter, which was super annoying to get on. Back here. So this is the filter. You may not be able to see it. You could just about see it there. So that was super annoying because the 2013 does not have the attachments for it. So I had to use the elastic, stretch it around, and then pop this bolster on as quick as I could and to hold the filter in place, and it worked. Outside of replacing this thing, the only thing I've had to do since then is the wheel bearing. I may have talked about this already, but I had to replace the wheel bearing and the drive axle on the passenger or on the driver's side because the axle nuts broke when trying to take it off. Probably from age or rust, although there's no rust on this car. And I had to change the engine air filter. The cabin air filter I took out completely, and I haven't put one back in. That's because I'm saving up for the charcoal one. Once I get the charcoal one, then I'll put it in. Lastly, I don't know if this was on video or not, last update, but I did have the window tint removed, which I feel like was a good idea. Although in the heat it kind of sucks. The only thing is that this is where California has a problem, and that is you can make these as dark as you want. So this was 5% when I bought the car, and the front and side windows were 70%, because 70% is as dark as you can go, which is insane because it did absolutely nothing. The 5% that I had before worked fantastic. The 70% was completely useless. So I wonder even why is tint even legal if it's doing absolutely nothing for the driver. I really wish I could just go 35 all the way around, and then on the windshield, the AS1 strip, which is basically the blue visor type thing, put 35% on that strip too. I feel like it would help, feel like it would be nice, but I can't do 35 here. So I might just go 70 on the front windows, 35 on the A1S or AS1 strip, whatever it's called, and then 35 here and on this back window, something so I could still see. So that's it for the update on this car. So why don't we take it for a short lap around the block. I'll tell you guys how it drives still, and we'll call it a day. So at parking lot speeds, feels no different really. nothing has really changed about this car and how it drives. It just drives like it always did. It drives like a Camry. It's smooth. It's quiet. I will say the hybrid system does sometimes feel like a little shuddery, but I do realize that that's just quirks of the 3rd generation hybrid system. Technically the 2nd generation hybrid system, so what the 07 Camry had, and basically the same system, just with a speaker attached to it, and it runs in EV mode for an extra 5 miles an hour. So it is a little shuddery because it's a super old system, dating back to the 04 Prius, but it's still pretty punchy and allows 650 volts. So let's go ahead and it still takes off super quickly and still does a 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, which is plenty quick. The only thing I've had a problem with this hybrid system is in Arizona on a 2-lane road, heading from Needles to Parker, Big River area, and even though this car did great passing, there are a couple instances where when the battery would run down to about the 2-bar mark, I would put my foot to the floor and nothing would happen. Nothing. And it was very concerning, and I got really scared, and it happened for like 2 miles, where I put my foot down, the engine screaming at red line, it's going up like a mile an hour every second. Not even mile an hour every 2 or 3 seconds. It was bad. Like, this is how much it would accelerate with my foot to the floor. It'd be like this. It was unbearable. And the engine would just be screaming at like 6,200 RPM. And I was concerned, and it was like 100 something degrees outside, and I had the air conditioning on. And so I kind of shut that off, rolled the windows down, put it into B, and within like not even a quarter mile, the battery fully charged back up, and it was just fine. So that's the only issue I've ever had with this car. Besides that, it's been perfect. So that's it for the Camry update. That's really all I wanted to tell you guys, just a little bit about it, because some things have changed, but not too much in general has changed. Don't know what the future exactly holds with this car, other than it will probably get wrapped and have a leather interior put in it. But besides that, that's all I really want to do with this car. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I would totally recommend the Camry still. Camry Hybrid 7th generation in 2024. Hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for the next ones.